I think we're good. Try it now.
All right, let's do it. There we go. All
There we
right,
go.
there
What's
we
going
go.
on, man?
Face to the name.
Yeah, it's always good. Well, I appreciate you hopping on here. So can you just do a quick intro of yourself and kind of, and I'll go into one of the unique things that we like about Yellow Letters and how we've been working with you, but just give the community a quick intro of who you are and what you do.
Yeah. So my, Kyle. I've been with YellowLetter for about going on to my 8th year now. So immediately after I graduated high school, I came into the space. At this point, it's really the only thing I know. Real estate investing and direct mail. It's what I do. So I've been very, very lucky to work here with Todd and kind of grow and scale the business and watch him do all that and learn about as much from direct mail and across the country as I can. So that's a little bit about me. It's really direct mail is the one thing that I could say is my thing.
Yeah. No, man, that's awesome. So for those of you guys who don't know, our best performing marketing channel in 2022 was direct mail. And the vendor that we've used all of 2022 is Yellow Letters. So the one thing that we love about Yellow Letters is that it's a fully like turnkey process where we just tell Kyle, literally, it's whether it's a phone call, an email, or even a Zoom, we hop on and we say, hey, here's the records we want to mail, boom, go get it done. And he just takes it from start to finish. And another thing that's really cool too is this whole, I know one thing that we were in our heads with when we were debating, hey, should we do direct mail? Should we not do direct mail? And a lot of people get scared when you go to scale. People are scared of the return mailers. Can you kind of talk about how you guys handle the return mailers and how you guys might be different than other mail houses?
Yeah, absolutely. Return mail is, for my 7 years here, I've had that question just about every single day. How can I not receive return mail? The short answer is there is no way to not receive return mail. You're gonna get it every single time. But because we know that and we understand what you guys are doing with your mailing list, where we understand the concept, multiple touches per campaign. You're not just gonna get a one and done sale. But we know you're resending the same list over and over again. So we created a system where we can, in one of 3 ways, help you figure out what's been returned and get it removed automatically. Our first version was a really cool, very simple webcam scanner where you would just take a mail piece that comes back to you, scan it in front of your webcam as I'm standing right here, and it's going to automatically record that mail piece and give you a spreadsheet of it back. That was version 1. Version 2 was even better because we were able to tap into the USPS database. And now everything that they're flagging as return mail, we're able to see. And without you having to scan anything, without us having to touch any physical mail, we know what's getting returned and we can get it removed from the list. Version 3, which is our latest release, is going to allow you to just take all your return mail and send it over to us. And what we do now is using a high-speed scanner, go through every single mail piece. We scan it, we pick up that barcode, we create that spreadsheet again, and then we're scrubbing against your mailing list so that every single time that you're mailing, we're reducing the amount of return mail and effectively saving you money because we're not resending records that we already know are not getting to their destination.
So you guys have, not only have you tapped into the USPS system, but you also have your clients sending in bulk the postcards or mailers or whatever that's getting returned.
Yeah, exactly. It's, we get the big flat rate boxes, like 75-pound maximum. People will just stuff those with return mail, send it over to us. It works great with the mail that's gone through us, but because we understand what we're doing, you could send us mail from another mail house, give us the mailing list that was used, and we're still able to record, identify those records, and have them removed from your list.
Nice.
And this is honestly there's going to be more stuff coming. We're trying to get to the point where we can literally identify every single mail piece that gets returned and have it removed. Ideally, eventually that address is going to be good. Eventually that person, we're going to have a valid address for them. So eventually when we do, the next phase will be identifying the return mail, either skip tracing or waiting for that address update to come in and then putting that right back into the system for you.
Nice. Okay. Well, it looks like we have a couple of questions here in the chat, so I'll read these off to you. Are you able to get forwarding addresses from USPS?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So our system automatically updates forwarding addresses as it's being processed. A lot of the time, if you're going to give me, you're going to give me 100 records, and the list that I'm going to give back to you is going to probably have 10, 20 different mailing addresses because the system is automatically identifying forwarding requests and updating that address.
Nice. Okay. I think that's a pretty big deal. We have another question here of, would you recommend doing both wholesale and flipping, or, oh, wait, so someone's asking me that question from earlier. Yeah. Sorry. This was a question someone asked me. Do you recommend doing both wholesale and flipping, or just one of them? I'll answer this real quick, Kyle, and then we'll get back to this. But I recommend, like, when you're first getting started, you pick one and you stick to it. But eventually you're going to get to a point where you're going to have to maximize your exit strategies. We learned how to flip first. And when we were flipping, we recognized that we were passing on a lot of deals that weren't a fit for us, but just because it's not a fit for us doesn't mean it's not a fit for someone else. So now what we do is we rehab the properties that are a fit for us, and we wholesale the ones that aren't. And for a lot of Midwestern people, the average deal sizes, for a wholesaler, $5,000 or even $10,000. It's really hard to build and scale an operation with those types of spreads. So eventually, if you're in the Midwest or you have similar deal spreads to those, you're going to have to learn how to maximize your exits with fixing and flipping. But Kyle, talk a little bit about, what pieces are you seeing working the best today with people that you work with across the country? What pieces are working the best?
Yes, there's two ways about going. Well, Street View. I'll just start with that. Street View works just about everywhere in the country except for some parts of the South, Atlanta, typically Louisiana areas. They're a little sensitive to the Street View. Other than that, it's a great mail piece. The guys who are doing 200,000 plus are doing Street Views, and they're only doing Street Views and consistently just that one mail piece. The other card that does great is the notice card that you guys use a lot. That card does a great job of getting the phones ringing. And that's great because with any direct mail campaign, there's three parts to it: good data, solid mail piece, and that sales team that takes care of everything. So as long as you get your sales team to call, they can take care of the rest.
Right. Okay. What about, so I get these questions all the time. What about the check mailers? What are your thoughts on that?
That's been really popular past, like, what was it, like 6 months is when they really took off, especially with distress stuff. That's what most people are using the check mailers with, is the distress mailers. And with some people, like the California ones, I have a customer in California who's been using them, and it's been working really great. He's beginning to incorporate his probates into that template as well. And we're kind of waiting to see how those results are going to come back. If that template's a little too pushy for the probates, or if it's just enough to get those calls coming in and to get some leads in.
Nice. Okay.
The letters, so I will say this though, the letters are typically a great piece for the really targeted, the really niche stuff. That's going to be the best way to go on your smaller list. They just do a great job of making sure that the mail piece and the message itself gets looked at.
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Now, for someone who is asking themselves, maybe they're only focusing on one channel right now and they want to broaden their marketing channels and their marketing reach. A question that they might ask themselves is, how do I know if direct mail is for me or if it's not for me? Do you get that question often?
I guess similar version of, does it even work?
Yeah.
Because I think that's really what's getting asked there, is like, is direct mail really going to work? The answer there is yes, absolutely. When I first started, I'll be honest, when I first started in the industry, I asked myself the same question. I was like, I'm sending out all these postcards and sending out all these letters. They're going everywhere around the country. People actually even look at this. But yes, absolutely, direct mail works. It's just about those three things again. It's making sure you're sending the mail to the right people. The mail piece is clear. It's got a clear call to action. They remember it. And 4, you're actually picking up the phone and processing those leads properly, not just letting things slide through the cracks.
That is a huge nugget. And I want to make sure this doesn't go over everyone's head. So you said, make sure you're actually answering the phone. Now, big mistake I see a lot of people do, especially with direct mail. And you'll hear this from some of the biggest gurus in the space. They'll say, hey, send direct mail and have it sent. Uh-oh.
That's
the man, the myth, the legend.
What's
What's up, Todd? But a lot of people will say, go send direct mail, spend all this money. Obviously it's a very expensive channel. But then when the phone rings, when someone calls in, they send it to a call center.
Yeah,
And if I had any more hair to pull out of my head, I'd have pulled the rest of it out if I saw how many people are doing that, because it's crazy to me. You have someone calling into your office saying, I want to sell my house, right? Who
exactly.
better to answer that call than a freaking closer?
Exactly.
I call Porter and all these people who have these live call centers, and I'll never forget. That's what we did originally, and I knew immediately that wasn't going to work because I would listen to these calls that these people would have, and it would literally sound like this. It would say, "Hi, my name's Josh. What's your name? What's your address?" And then they would repeat it back, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is who in the world would stay on the phone?" I would have hung up on them. You know what I mean? But
Exactly.
those guys are incentivized by how the number of seconds on the call. So the longer the call, the more they draw it out, the more they get paid. So it makes sense how, now I say this a lot, that the way you incentivize, whether it's a company, an individual, however you structure the incentive plan is really going to drive the behaviors, and those behaviors are going to drive the results or lack thereof. So one thing critical, make sure your closers are answering the phone if you decide to do direct mail. This is something that we do, and I think we do it differently than most people, is every inbound call rings simultaneously to our sales team. And they literally, like, there's a speed chat. Like if there's a call coming in, and if, let's say, Connor can't get it, then he knows he's up next, and then Brandon's up next. And if neither of them can get it, then it goes to me, and I'm like the last line of defense. That way we make sure nothing slips through the cracks. So that's interesting you say that. I like that. So you talked about three things. And so the last one was make sure you answer the calls. The second one was make sure you have a clear message, and then you're sending it to the right address. I think even a step above that, there's two things that were important to us in our learning curve of using direct mail. When we first started in real estate, we hand wrote letters and we'd send them out. And we thought to ourselves that this thing doesn't work because we weren't sending enough mail. And I can't tell you how many times I see people say, yeah, I'll send $5,000 worth of mail or 5,000 postcards, but they don't understand the conversions. They don't understand the industry standards of, if I send X amount of postcards, 0.5% of them are going to call in. And then of those call ins, one of 42 of them are actually going to be a deal. And when we were sending 50 mailers out a week, we thought we were doing a lot. No, we weren't doing enough. And it took us 6 months to get a deal. So a lot of people I see, they'll throw 5,000 postcards up and they'll say, I got no deals in the first 2 or 3 weeks. What the heck? This doesn't work. No, you've got to understand the conversions, and you have to reverse engineer based on what your goals are. So that's another important piece.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Just, I always hate getting that question because you have people who are excited to get into the space and they're like, I want to do direct mail. I want to get some results and I want to send 200 pieces. I'm like, okay, well, let's take a step back. Let's properly set up your expectations here. Like you said, 0.5% is actually going to call you. From there, you're going to get a few that are actually going to be valid leads. So if you're only sending out 500 pieces, 200 pieces, the chances of you actually hitting something that's going to be worth your time, probably not that great. So always, yeah, you're 100% right. It's usually where I like to start my calls with. Set the expectations first, and then you'll see that your numbers are a little too low to get the results you're looking for.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think that's so important because so many people get frustrated, not just with direct mail, with every marketing channel, but it's very, very, very big with direct mail because they just go, yep, here's 5,000 postcards. I should get a deal from this, but they don't understand the conversions.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. And then another thing to do on that main point is just making sure that you're targeting the right audience. And this varies across the state. For example, pre-foreclosure works great in some parts of the country, but it doesn't work great in, let's say, Arizona. There's just too much equity in those homes. So a lot of the time, the people just like one of my biggest letter customers, who typically does about 100,000 letters a month. He can't work with those really tight pre-closure style lists. They don't work for him because there's nothing there in his market. So making sure that the list you're using is right for the specific market that you're going after is going to be key.
Yeah, no, can you actually elaborate a little bit more on that? And this is critical. you know, if I were to go and just spray and pray, if I send a postcard to every single person who owns a house, that's going to be very expensive, right? And what's the reality that I actually get someone calling in that's going to be a reasonable seller, a qualified opportunity for us as real estate investors? Very, very slim, right? So you're saying niche it down, right? Find the more distressed sellers and target them, because these people are most likely to work with an investor like ourselves. They're most likely to accept an offer at a discount because they're in a more of a need for a solution than someone who's not in distress. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Absolutely, especially if you're just starting out. It doesn't make too much sense to just fly out a huge absentee list. Niche it down, make sure that there's motivation behind there, and then make sure there's motivation in your specific market for it, and then begin to scale from there.
Man, I love it. Do we have any questions from anyone here that's on this live? Any questions from anyone that Kyle can answer for you? So, question from behind the camera here. How much mail do we send out? So in January, we sent out just over 79,000 postcards. February was a little less than that, but uh-oh, dropped some people off here. I don't know why. Oh, okay. I want to make sure we didn't lose everyone. But yeah, so rolling into 2023 in the first quarter, we were looking at dropping anywhere from 60 to 80,000 postcards a month. And that's because we reverse engineered what our goals were. And we knew that that's what it was going to take in order for us to accomplish our goals. Now, what we've seen is actually there's a couple of things. And Kyle, I don't know if you know this, one thing that we've been really adamant of is putting our website on our postcard. There's a lot of people who don't do that because they're scared of getting bad reviews. And we've had a few bad reviews, I'm not going to lie, but the upside is way bigger than the downside. You know, if you're working with a seller and they go check out reviews on your website and they see this person keeps sending me a postcard, that's not going to hold weight. Right. And some of our biggest deals, in fact, our biggest deal to date came from someone who saw the postcard. This was a 6-figure wholesale deal. They saw our website on a postcard, went to our website, filled out their information. Our team called them, locked them up, and we made 6 figures on that deal. Just because we had our name or our website on our postcard. It was that simple. And if you think about it, you know, it's 2023 at this point, and everyone's very digital friendly for the most part. So if someone gets your postcard and they say, oh, Heels Homes, who's Heels Homes? They're probably going to go Google you, right? So if you don't have your website on there, then you might be losing out on opportunity just because that might seem a little more convenient than punching in a phone number. So I would recommend having your website address on your postcard. That's been a game changer for us. And the reason why I bring this up is because we float around a 4x ROI with just the postcard call-ins. And then from the people who go to our website and submit information, it gets us almost up to a 6x ROI on our ad spend for postcards and direct mail, which is phenomenal. If you're ever getting a 5x return in any marketing channel, you're performing very, very well. And we're close to a 6x from a marketing or from a direct mail perspective.
Yeah, I definitely agree on the website. I mean, I personally don't do business with anybody I usually can't find online, and somebody that I can't find online easily. And we know that as marketers, we know that with direct mail. So, and I hate talking about stuff for the future, but we're working on a system where, you know, you'll put your postcard on your website on the postcard. We're going to put a tracking pixel on your website, and we'll be able to tell you who from your list actually visited that site. So then you'll be able to attribute, you know, that extra 2 or 1% is if it's actually coming from people who were on your list who didn't pick up the phone, but did go to your website. So that's another really cool feature that, just like you said, because the website makes a big difference. That's going to be coming here in the future. That'll help you guys, you know, not miss out on the opportunities that go straight to the site. Because not all of them will fill out the contact form, but the system, it's going to be designed where even if they don't fill out the contact form, we'll still know they visited. So they're still showing interest. They're just not basically committing to it.
Yep. We're actually, we're testing that out currently on our site. Yeah. It's been pretty cool to see. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. There's a bunch of stuff where we're going to try to connect both the, where we're going to try to connect basically, digital ads to your marketing ads, put them together and make them work as one big campaign. Because it does make a big difference.
Awesome, man. Well, we don't really have any more questions. I mean, do you have like any last minute comments for the group here?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was going to finish it off with that. That's going to be, it's one of my personal goals for the year is to get that up and running, so that we can start to do some of the more, multi-channel, omni-channel marketing. And you guys can really start, because I'm sure you're already doing it. You're already starting to see the results. But within the system, you also be able to attribute those results to your direct mail.
Right.
And
Which is important. You got to know
exactly.
where these views are coming from.
Exactly. You gotta know where they're coming from. So that's coming in the future, as well as we'll be able to do Instagram, Facebook follow-up ads that will show the exact same image as your mail piece. So the same mail piece you're sending will also show up in the person's social sites before the mail goes out, while the mail is hitting, and 30 days after the mail has gone out. So they're going to be top of mind for that whole month, making sure that if the interest is there, they're going to think of you.
Right. Man, I love it. Kyle, I appreciate you hopping on here, man, and dropping some gems around direct mail. And what's the best way for people who are on here who might have interest in reaching out to you and starting, what's the best way for them to contact you? Do we have a link or something that we could drop in the chat, or do you have one?
Yeah, I'll put my you guys can always reach me at my email. It's .com. And I did see a question here. Do you use the QR codes on the postcard? Yes, that's going to be one of the new features as well. We're going to set up dynamic QR codes where you'll know specifically who scanned it, what device, their gender, and if possible, I believe also their age. So it's not just going to be just a static QR code that goes to one website. It'll be dynamic, specific to that person, and it'll give you the feedback of who scanned that.
Some pretty high tech stuff, man. That's crazy.
We're getting there. I love working here for that reason specifically. It's it's a mixture of the old school print and the new school marketing.
Right. Awesome, man. Well, Kyle, again, I appreciate you for hopping on. Thank you so much. And for those of you who are interested, even if you have questions, reach out to Kyle, schedule a call with him. If you need to dive deeper into what their services look like, I highly encourage that. Again, direct mail was our #1 performing channel of all of 2022. And I don't foresee that changing this year. So, Kyle, thanks again. And until next time, brother, we'll see you.
Absolutely, guys. It's a pleasure. Thank you.